Hello there, my new subscribers. As you may already know, within an hour or two of posting my video on Mission Impossible Fallout, I suddenly appeared on EFAP episode 28 alongside Mauler, Wolf, and Rags to have a discussion with Ren's reviews. I had a great time discussing the film with him and rebutting his criticisms of the movie, and I wanted to make this video as an opportunity to clarify a few things and in general provide an update to that particular discussion. I am going to assume that if you are watching this, you have already seen the episode, so I won't bother with recapping everything that happened. Around 26 hours before the stream, I was contacted by Mauler over Discord and asked if I would be available to do it at that time, since that was the only time Ren's schedule aligned with the EFAP trios. Given that I almost never have work in the evening, I was free, and so the time was set and I kept it to myself in case something went awry. In the meantime, I worked out 5 pages of questions worded in a way to get straight to the point and rewatched Fallout just hours before the stream started to refresh my memory on the movie. Knowing I was coming on to do my first ever live debate with somebody in front of an audience that usually has a minimum of 1,000 live viewers, I wanted to come prepared. Unfortunately, Ren did not take the same approach, one that ended up putting him at a massive disadvantage in a discussion that was already going to be an uphill battle for him. Now, the intended structure of the episode was for me to actually handle most of the discussion about Fallout while everyone else would kind of just listen and observe and mediate, with Rags and Wolf keeping themselves muted for extended periods of time. However, that wound up lasting for only about half of the debate, as occasional chiming in eventually flipped into more regular comments in addition to my own argumentation. We were accused of not letting Ren finish what he was saying, and I was even accused of basically cutting him off by constantly saying, "No, no." If you rewatch the stream, however, you'll notice that I actually would let him finish his sentences before saying "no," under the context that he said something that I immediately knew was inaccurate and thus instantly had a rebuttal. Not to mention, everybody was cutting everybody off at some point in the stream, and the mask printer debacle, which wound up irreparably damaging Ren's credibility for the audience, came about because he had interrupted a point that I was making to bring up a nitpick that was factually inaccurate. Ironically, some of the commenters on the re-upload of the stream on Mueller accused me of being rude to Ren, but I would like to clarify here that Ren and I have chatted privately on Discord since the stream, and he has said he didn't think I was being rude to him at all. The two of us are actually going to keep in touch, it seems. While I don't think there was necessarily anything wrong with having a 4-on-1 discussion, since we were being fair to him for the most part, it probably could have gone more smoothly had it just been me, Ren, and Mauler in the call. Either way, to come onto a podcast as popular as EFAP to talk to 4 people who disagree with you and then admit that you were wrong about a lot of things takes a lot of guts, and I wanted it to be crystal clear that I don't think Ren deserves vitriol or hatred for his Fallout video. It is a bad movie review, absolutely, but he didn't make it out of malicious intent, and judging from my interactions with him, he seems to be a nice dude. Another person also claimed that I attacked Ren after he already admitted defeat, when all I did was ask him one last question about where he would have moved the Halo jump to in order to maintain a feeling of escalation as per one of his criticisms, and then pointed out that he would have turned the scene into an actionless string scene 3 times longer than the one he actually criticized in his video. It is so strange that I have been accused of this when I actually said several nice things to him during and after the discussion, and overall did my level best to keep the discussion civil. Granted, I remained pretty blunt with him the entire stream, but I was coming from a place of good faith, as my appearance on EFAP was essentially the beginning of my second venture into YouTube, and I wanted to establish myself as a fair and reasonable person to talk to even if we may disagree. Anyways, in spite of the handful of critics, which are to be expected once you become more of a public figure, the reception I have gotten from the EFAP audience has been overwhelmingly positive, and judging from how well I was received, it is likely that I will be back on at some point in the future, an occasion which I am looking forward to. The experience has also given me a much-needed boost in self-esteem after some admittedly difficult years from my personal life, so I appreciate everyone who has voiced their feedback on me. I'm incredibly grateful for Mauler, Wolf, and Rags for letting me come on for the discussion, especially since they have a backlog of guests they have wanted to bring on for ages, and I wound up skipping the line entirely despite being a nobody. I am also incredibly grateful, of course, for everyone who has watched my video on Ren and subscribed to my channel. I hope that you are satisfied with the content I create in the future. Speaking of which, I am looking to provide a diversity of content ranging from video essays, movie reviews, responses to video essays and reviews like the one I did on Ren, to possibly gaming live streams depending on whether my internet will be capable of handling it. I will also probably be making videos on current events every now and then depending on what I am passionate about. I don't want to make videos about material that I lack passion for, otherwise I'll end up just like someone I share some resemblance to, not naming any names. I would also like to say that I aim to be mostly apolitical on this channel. One can probably infer my political beliefs and values from at least one of the tangents I went on EFAP, but I have little interest in my brand being that of a political talking head. I am simply not qualified nor educated enough to attempt to influence the political landscape of anywhere in the world, nor am I nearly mature enough to wield that influence responsibly. As for specific projects that I have in the pipeline, I am currently reading through Stephen King's Pet Sematary in preparation for its upcoming film adaptation, which I plan on reviewing, along with Shazam and whatever other movies pique my interest, and that includes Avengers Endgame, of course. While I am waiting for all those movies to come out, I am working on a script for a review of a movie I personally think is underrated and would love to recommend to everybody, so stay tuned for that. Once that is out, I plan on making a video discussing the state of the Star Wars sequel trilogy and my issues with it thus far, and I am also working on Mauler-inspired critiques of The Dark Knight Rises and M. Night Shyamalan's Glass. I have no goal as to the length of those series, but I plan on being as thorough as necessary. Of course, I am expecting to delay these projects back accordingly for whenever I see something that requires a more urgent response. In the meantime, if you would like to chat or hang out with me, I am on Twitter at SouthpawReviews. I haven't done much with it, but only because I currently have 0 followers. How about we fix that? I also have a fair amount of room on my friends list on PlayStation, so if you play Battlefront 2 on PS4, then shoot me a friend request and we will squad up. I've already done so with one subscriber, and the footage you are looking at right now is actually the first session I partied up with him. So, until next time, dear viewers.